morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever it is that you are. Welcome once more to another video podcast of Political News Time. Meet porn news today, meets porn law news. Coming at you from the PNT Live Network. And remember, you can always check out archives of this podcast and many others over on pntlive.net. I am not doing this at my normal time today because I had something to do a little bit earlier. Forgive me for being a little bit tired during this podcast, but I'm up a bit later than I normally would be. Yesterday's live stream of pntlive.net revolved around a court case that was filed by a Florida Sarasota RV park known as Sun and Fun RV Resort against probably the most notorious criminal within the adult entertainment industry that has been in quite some time, an individual known as Donnie Long, aka Donald Carlos Sion, and his wife, Heather Deep, aka Nantita Sion. The irony in all this is that Donald and Nantita's initial lawyer, who they were going to use for their case, is a notorious attorney known as the attorney to the online trolls and bullies, but it's actually a lot worse. He is a defense attorney for pedophiles, neo-Nazis, the adult entertainment industry. I mean, really some of the worst characters in our society, truthfully. But yeah, this guy, Marc Randazza, was their attorney. And what's so ironic about the situation is that Sion, Donald Sion, has been my primary stalker of not just myself, but my immediate family for many years. Just complete terrorization. It's just horrific what he does. But then you're going to have this guy, Marc Randazza, stepping up to be his attorney. And it was only a few weeks ago that Randazza completely defamed and criminally libeled me in a court filing for a completely different case having to do with the Washington Redskins owner, Daniel Snyder. And in the case, he was trying to dismiss himself from, I guess, being investigated in relation to the case by lying about me and saying that I have stalked him. And he manufactured a fraudulent lawsuit against me quite a few years ago in effort to protect the same guy who he was a lawyer for initially in the case I'm getting ready to review another filing for, Donald Sion. So, ironically, I'm quite the key, aren't I? But it's going to be interesting to see what happens to some of these people. It really will be. If you want to learn more about this case, watch last night's live stream. Actually, the edited version is available currently on pntlive.net. But today we're going to go over the filing that is titled Motion to Withdraw as Attorney of Record, okay? Because this is a key in a very sophisticated organized crime group's operation, okay? Randazza likes to cause a lot of trouble, but then doesn't want to take accountability for it. He has been advising Sion since the year 2015, and there's proof of it. If you go over to pornnewstoday.com, you can see some tweets between Marc Randazza and Donald Sion. Donald Sion was using his wife's Twitter account when she was better known as Heather Deep. And they were actually laughing about how they could further torment me and my family by purchasing one of my family members' full legal name as a domain. That's who Marc Randazza is. He's a sadistic SOB. And whatever he has coming, he fully deserves. Because whatever it is, it's going to be bad. But anyway, let me just read this. All right, consent motion to withdraw as attorney of record. This is actually laughable. Marc J. Randazza, attorney of record for defendants Nantita Sion and Donald Sion, hereby moves this court for leave to withdraw as counsel of record of defendants Donald Sion and Nantita Sion. Memorandum of Points and Authorities. 1. Statement of Facts. On or about August 14th, 2020, defendants Nantita Sion and Donald Sion retained Marc Randazza to represent them in a limited capacity to handle a single hearing in this matter in the state court proceeding. In the course of that limited appearance, it became apparent that defendants had a right to remove to federal court, and that was their wish. Accordingly, despite the limited engagement, Randazza did so. And this is interesting. So Randazza was trying to squelch this lawsuit against Sion, a lawsuit that has to do with defamation, libel, stalking, harassment, criminal activity, all kinds of mess that he's doing to the owners and operators and even some residents of this Sun and Fun RV park, right? They tried to relabel this case as only having to do with copyright. No. Actually, Randazza himself, from my perspective, should be named as a defendant in this case, because all of his advisement over the years to online terrorists like Sion are what created the monster that he is today, okay? Randazza trained that dude. Purposely or inadvertently, he sure as hell did. And he should have to take accountability for that. Let me continue. Proceeding in this matter, Randazza laid down certain parameters for continued representation in this court, including that defendants refrain from any negative conduct toward opposing counsel. That conduct has continued. And it's gone pretty bad too. The opposing counsel is this lawyer out of Sarasota, Florida, named Brian Chase. And so far, Sion has purchased a domain name utilizing his full legal name, specifically with the intent to defame him. He's made some psycho video rants about the man, and he's attacked his wife. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting, actually, because what Randazza fraudulently accused me of doing to him is exactly what Sion is in actuality doing to this Brian Chase guy. Even down to the attacks on the wife. It's weird. Further, in the course of conferring with the defendants, Randazza discovered a potential conflict arising between the defendant, Nantita Sion, and defendant, Donald Sion, thus creating an ethical quandary for Mr. Randazza, continuing to represent them both in this matter. Ethical? He's the most unethical attorney, quite possibly, in the United States of America. There's a Huffington Post article specifically about his lack of ethics. It's strange that he even is licensed to practice law. Okay. Further, one or both defendants has violated the terms of representation. Mr. Randazza has discussed the likely consequences of his withdrawal from the case with Donald Sion and Nantita Sion. They both understand these consequences and consent to Mr. Randazza's withdrawal. Further, work product has been provided to defendants, Mr. Sion, in order to educate them on how to defend themselves pro se. So I guess they're going to defend themselves in court. Okay. Mr. Randazza contacted counsel for plaintiff prior to filing this motion to ask for plaintiff's position. Counsel for plaintiff responded that plaintiff consents to Mr. Randazza's withdrawal. I hope that the counsel for the plaintiff realizes that Randazza could be trying to utilize Sion as a weapon against him just for future reasons. Another thing I thought about too, and this would be a long shot, but Sion really is a dangerous individual, and he would be a huge risk to Randazza in the future. So what if Randazza is kind of like giving him bad advice now and bad information, specifically to set him up for a huge fall? Because it would be in Randazza's best interest to get rid of Sion, meaning put him in jail or a mental facility, right now, because he'll probably never get another chance to do so, because Sion is a wild card when it comes to his behavior. I actually wouldn't put it past Sion to try to physically assault Randazza at this stage. Wouldn't put it past him. All right. Section 2, legal argument. As set forth infra and in the attached declarations of Donald Sion and Nantita Sion, good cause exists to grant the attorney's motion to withdraw as counsel. Additionally, the client would not be adversely affected by the attorney's withdrawal. Under the Florida rules of professional conduct, an attorney must withdraw as counsel from representing a client if the representation will result in a violation of the rules of professional conduct or law. Oh, so now Randazza is all about the rules and ethics. That's funny. Okay. Under the Florida rules of professional conduct, a lawyer must abide by a client's decisions concerning the objectives of representation, and as required by Rule 4-1.1, must reasonably consult with the client as to the means by which they are to be pursued. Here, continued representation of defendants is not professionally possible due to a conflict between defendants and a divergence of the objectives of representation held by each defendant. Further, defendants were warned to cease certain conduct which targets the attorneys involved with personal attacks. While defendants may have First Amendment right to engage in such conduct, it is a violation of express terms of representation. See, I also think that Randazza wanted to get out of this because, this whole NFL lawsuit that he's involved in is a pretty hot topic in the legal sphere right now. So, yeah, he's in trouble. And it's interesting, they talk about a conflict between the defendants. This is worded in a strange way. I wonder if he's talking more so about a conflict of interest, or if he's talking about a possible divorce or separation between Nantita and Donald, because this Sun and Fun company, they're going to completely obliterate Sion in court. I mean, it's just going to be epic. So anything that he may own he may want to try to protect, but they are suing her too. I guess they figure they're going to go easy on Nantita, but they shouldn't, because that Nantita, professional hustler. Men, just because a woman looks like a little girl does not mean that she has a little girl's mind. Trust me on that. She does know English far better than she lets on too. Just letting y'all know. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where do we end? The withdrawal can be accomplished without adverse effects on the interests of the clients. In order to preserve defendants' rights, the undersigned will continue to defend the case until the motion is granted. The undersigned recognizes that in doing so, there is a potential conflict between the parties. However, after consulting with the Florida Bar Ethics Hotline, it was determined that given that the parties agreed to waive the conflict for purpose of responding, it is not improper to do so. So he called the hotline. Well, I wonder if he thought to himself, maybe I should tell the hotline about how I have advised the stalker of the woman who I lied, committing perjury in a recent lawsuit involving Washington Redskins owner Daniel Snyder. Should I consult with them about how I lied about a woman who I've terrorized for years, lied about her stalking me, when in actuality my client in this particular case is her stalker, who went as far as to buy her family members' full names, full legal names as domains, with the intent of terrorizing her family, utilizing racist rhetoric and homophobic rhetoric too. I guess he didn't think to tell that on the hotline, but that's okay, because the internet exists. Conclusion. Based upon the foregoing, attorney Marc J. Randazza respectfully requests that this court grants his motion to withdraw. This was dated September 11th of 2020. Yeah, what a piece of work, huh? What a piece of work. I'm not going to go over the declarations of Donald and Nantita, because they obviously didn't write those declarations themselves. It's very obvious that Randazza wrote them, but they agreed to them. So I guess they'll be representing themselves in court. Pro se. Pro se. Yes, that's what they will be doing. So that's about it for this podcast.